On this episode of the Political Playbook, will Canada be the solo host for the 2026 World Cup? Should the US and Mexico lose their hosting privileges? All coming up. Welcome to the Political Playbook, the subseries under the Alanyzing podcast umbrella, where sports meets power, policy, and politics. I'm your host, Alan Solero, aka Alanyzing. We're going to break down the biggest moments in sports where sports collide with real-world issues, whether it's government decisions, athlete activism, international controversy, or the billions of dollars flowing behind major sporting events. This subseries is about understanding the bigger game behind the game. Today's first episode focuses on a story that's already been sparking debate across social media and fans worldwide. Should the hosting rights for the 2026 FIFA World Cup be taken away from the United States and Mexico? Some fans have already been calling on FIFA, the governing body of world football, to reconsider the tournament's location due to concerns about security and safety in both countries. So today we're asking the question, is this a legitimate concern or an overreaction? A little background for those who might not know, the 2026 World Cup is said to be the first tournament ever hosted by three countries, Mexico, US, and Canada. And it will also be the first tournament to expand to 48 international teams. Matches will be played in cities across North America, expecting to bring millions of fans and billions of dollars into economic activity. However, recently, online discussions among fans have talked about safety concerns in both the US and Mexico. Some critics point out to Trump's recent immigration policies during his second term as president of the United States. Some of these controversies were in Minnesota of January of 2026, when ICE agents killed a 37-year-old nurse, Alex Preddy, on January 24th, and a woman named Renee Goodman on January 7th in Minnesota. And then more recent controversies has been in the TSA shutdown, where Trump had deployed ICE agents to airports. And a lot of fans are questioning their status, when they come to the World Cup games. Are they going to get the same treatment? Or are they going to be targeted and questioned? And these are all valid questions from incoming fans from different countries. So that's one on the USA perspective. On the Mexico perspective, other critics have cited the cartel-related crimes and security concerns in different parts of Mexico. The most recent thing was the narco blockades due to the death or capture and then eventual death to CJNG leader del cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, El Mencho Nemesio Seguera Cervantes. There was a whole lot of destruction when it came to that. When they captured him, a lot of narco blockades, narcos blocking roads, burning buildings, burning cars, just a whole lot of mess. And that obviously raised a lot of security concerns. So their argument is simple. If the World Cup is supposed to be a global celebration, should it be hosted in places where security risks are part of public conversation? Now, it is important, to note, however, that major sporting events have always faced security challenges. It's just a normal thing. In fact, every modern World Cup and Olympic has required massive security planning, obviously due to the part of the number of people coming in, the number of teams coming in. So there's going to be, especially this one, there's going to be 48 teams. So more people are going to be coming into these three countries. Host countries spend years working with international agencies, law enforcement, and intelligence organizations. Obviously, they collaborate to ensure fans are safe. But the criticism highlights something bigger, right? How politics, perception, and media narratives can shape how fans, or not even just fans, but citizens of other places see these countries or different countries. So let's start off with more of the critics' point of view, right? Some fans argue that safety should be the number one, or fans argue that safety should be the number one priority for international tournaments. And I believe we can all agree to this. This is correct. I don't think this is an argument. This is just facts. This is what everyone's supposed to think about first. Not just, is the game going to be well? No. How are fans going to get there? How are the players going to be safe? Just all in general. This is something we couldn't agree to. However, they say that President Trump's policies in the United States and organized crime in Mexico create uncertainty for international visitors. And in Mexico, though local businesses, I want to highlight them specifically right now, though local businesses in Mexico would profit and the economy would boost for them, they would also suffer as local and national cartels extort businesses and create ticketing fraud. This obviously is another income of revenue for them. The extorting businesses and the ticketing fraud. This could be used, though, as an argument that promised profits for the cartel would actually calm security concerns in Mexico, as criminal organizations know they'll benefit from this. They're going to benefit from the from the economy boost. If the local businesses get more money, they're going to get more money. And as unfortunate as that sounds, and unjust and unfair, that's just how it is. That's just the way of life over there. And they'll know they'll get this money if they just keep the peace and they collaborate. And that's all we're going to say. These fans' position is that FIFA should reconsider host nations if global fans feel unsafe traveling there. And there's been a poll, I think, where a majority of them do feel like that. But on the contrary, on the other side of this discussion, supporters of the current plan, argue that the United States and Mexico actually have regularly hosts one of the biggest sporting events in the world. This is specifically to the U.S. Super Bowls, NBA Finals, international tournaments, the Olympics again. Recently, the U.S. hosted the Club World Cup. That went pretty smooth, and that was with Donald Trump as the U.S. president. They also point out that Mexico has hosted the World Cup twice before, 1970 and 1986, and successfully welcomed fans from all over the globe, which is true. I wasn't alive for either of them, but it seemed like a great thing. In the 70s when Pele in Brazil won it, and then 1986 is when Maradona won his first World Cup with the Hand of God game, and then that dribble against England. Whew, crazy. But anyways, that was just a little history there. But security for the World Cup will involve coordination between multiple governments, thousands of law enforcement officers, and advanced security planning. It takes years to develop, as we all know. One of these plans is the Plan of Kukulkan, presented by the Security Secretary Omar Garcia Harfuch of Mexico. Is the official strategy designed to ensure security during the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Mexico. It has international cooperation with Canada and the United States, as well as massive deployment of security personnel in stadiums, in airports, in the U.S. In other words, these tournaments are some of the most protected events on Earth, as we know. But I think this conversation can reveal something even more deep, even more in tune. Sports tournaments often become symbols of national reputation. Hosting the World Cup isn't just about soccer, it's about global image, tourism, diplomacy, and economic influence. And adding on to that, I would even add connection. As recently, World Cup qualifiers in Mexico happened, the match between Jamaica and New Caledonia, where the New Caledonians say they felt the love from Mexico fans. They felt the love from fans who weren't even New Caledonians. They weren't even there for that team. They were just supporting the team. They were just there just to have a good time. They felt that love. They felt the passion when it comes to this sport. And this brings up a discussion, or brings up a different point of view, or the difference between actual citizens of the country, the people who are there day to day in these countries, normal everyday people, the people of Mexico, right? Versus how from abroad it looks different, right? From how you see this point of view, and then you see the point of view of the cartels, of the insecurity in Mexico, how the government is ran, all that thing, right? You see two different perspectives. And that brings up the discussion of which one's real and which one's not. And I would tell you that both are true to a certain extent. But I'd say the former is the majority. These citizens, they're just normal people. Okay, they are kind, passionate, hardworking people. We're just here to have love for the game. They're not involved in these things. Most of the people are not. They're just here to enjoy the World Cup. They're here to do their day-to-day lives and have a celebration of having a World Cup for the third time in their history. That's how I see it, and I believe that is mostly true. I also bring up, and more importantly, of this whole thing is the bottom dollar. This would be a catastrophic miss for both countries and FIFA economically if they were to remove the World Cup from them. Because if you remove it from them, that's billions of dollars lost for Mexico, the US, hotels, businesses. I mean, hotels part of the businesses, food, venues. The reason why they wanted it, FIFA mostly wanted it, these two countries, is because they have great billion-dollar stadiums. The US, SoFi, even though they probably wanted Vegas, Vegas didn't regulate the field regulations didn't go with what FIFA wanted, but they got SoFi, Dallas, New York, great level stadiums. In Mexico, you got el Monterrey. The name escapes me right now. I forgot the name of the stadium, but the one in Monterrey used, the one in the mountains, beautiful stadium. Estadio Banorte, they just, that used to be in Azteca. They just fixed all of that. The Estadio Akron, also a great stadium. So they have these things. This is what FIFA wants, right? So losing that, that's a huge financial loss. They don't want that. And then also, it would be an enormous scramble. I don't even know how they would adjust to that, to a new format of the tournament if they took both these countries away. Because, okay, now you take them off, right? So all these stadiums, all these venues, gone. So now you have to add, and if you leave it to Canada, now you have to add more stadiums for them, more airports. What about all the times? All the times they have for different games, how are they all going to jumble that into one game, into a 1 month season tournament in, what's today? What's the April? In 3 months. How are they all going to all jam pack that? It's a logistics nightmare. They're not going to do that. Now, I think FIFA would put more thought into it if this was planned, if this was before they chose US and Mexico to win the World Cup. Maybe if it was 2 years ago and this happened, maybe FIFA would think about it and they'd probably do more logistics on it and say, maybe we could change it here. But everything is out. The schedules are out. The venues, everything is out. They are not going to change this in less than 2 months unless something disastrous happens. Like unless something is just, unless there's like a civil war breaks out in one of these countries, then maybe. Then, like, if I don't want to, this is a political playbook. If the opposite was happening in Iran right now, if this is happening in the US, then yes. Then they would probably change that. But it's not. It's not happening right now. The US is, I wouldn't say we're great, but it's far from a civil war right now. Right now. Like a physical, full-on aggression, armed civil war. We're not there yet, if you want to get into that. But it's not there yet. So I don't think FIFA's going to do it. I don't think, overall, I just wouldn't think they're going to change this because of the money and because of it's just so many hurdles they would have to go over through it. It's just too late for them to do it at this point. It's too late. So that's one. But countries, they bid for these events because they want to showcase themselves to the world, different things. So when fans question whether a country is safe enough to host or quickly become a political conversation about crime, government policy, and international perception, that's where the two connect. So what do y'all think? Okay. Should global tournaments only be held in countries with the lowest possible security risk? Or is that unrealistic in a world where every nation faces its own things? The 2076 World Cup is only a few months away and planning is already done, like I said. So right now, FIFA hasn't really indicated anything. Just said that they've had discussions with both countries about the challenges that's recently happened to them and how they'll clean it up. But the debate itself shows why sports and politics are almost impossible to separate. Overall, though, I'd say both countries shouldn't be stripped, mostly due to the closeness of the World Cup. Like I was saying, it's just going to be a haul to try to figure out these schedules in 2 months. It's gonna be impossible probably to find, and they don't want to deal with this. It would be possible, right? But they would have to figure out so many things, and they might even have to take teams out of it, and that's exactly what they don't want to do. That's why they expanded it to 48 teams. That's exactly what they don't want to do, and I think just because of the closeness of it, they're just not going to do it. But what I think FIFA should do, and they've already said they've had internal discussions with both of these countries, with both the governments. They should tell them to clean it up. They should give them resources. Tell them, like, if okay, we'll help you clean this up, because we can't have this nightmare PR. We can't have this PR nightmare right now that you're putting us into. Okay, we can't have this. Everything has to be according and safe. And even taking away the PR aspect, how about the human aspect? The fans, players aspect. Let's be safe for everyone, for every party involved. That's what they should do, is tell them to clean this up, or else I don't think they would change it, but heavy fines. Let's find them somehow, some way, something, because it cannot continue how it is. People have to feel safe when they go to these events. So that would be my overall thing. I'm Al Solorio, and this has been our first episode of the Political Playbook. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow the podcast, share it with everybody who loves me, and I love you back. Until then, remember, sometimes the biggest plays in sports happen off the field. See y'all in the next one. I'm Al Solorio, aka Alanyzing. See y'all.